Hi, I'm Keith Bentley. I am the founder and chief technology officer of Bentley Systems, and I'd like today to talk to users of MicroStation. If you're using MicroStation and you're on Bentley Select and you haven't upgraded to the Connect Edition of MicroStation, I really would like to explain to you that I think that is a mistake and you should revisit that. So let's just talk about the Connect Edition. The Connect Edition is the best version of MicroStation we've ever created. I can say that quite confidently because I know all of them and I know intimately what went into the Connect Edition. For any purpose that, if you are a MicroStation user, whatever you're using MicroStation for, whether you're creating drawings, creating sheets, and you're just using MicroStation as a drafting tool, the features in the Connect Edition are going to be way superior to the ones that existed previous to the Connect Edition. You owe it to yourself, if you're doing drafting and you're using MicroStation or another program other than MicroStation, the Connect Edition is a better way of doing all that. Please investigate that because drafting is a great feature of the Connect Edition. But a lot of you are probably also using MicroStation for modeling, creating 3D models, creating BIM files, and MicroStation is a good tool for that. The Connect Edition has so many new features for 3D modeling that it's really not even close. If you are doing that and you are using a version of MicroStation previous to the Connect Edition, you are just missing out on lots of new features and you would benefit from, and your productivity would improve dramatically. So MicroStation Connect Edition is a great tool for 3D modeling. If you're doing visualization, there are features in the Connect Edition that are well in advance of anything we had before that. So those kinds of concepts are improved dramatically in the Connect Edition. If you're interacting with other programs, people who use things other than MicroStation, all of the features that you will need to interact with people who are using newer versions of programs are in the Connect Edition and probably are not in previous editions. Now, the reason not to go to Connect, and some people have determined, well, yes, the improvements will be there, but there will be some transition cost. And it is true. The Connect Edition is a substantial improvement to MicroStation. We changed a lot of things. So there are things that you do differently with the Connect Edition. However, at one point, there was a version of the Connect Edition where there was just so much different that we didn't provide the techniques for migrating. And so we've spent the last year or so working on making it easier to use the Connect Edition with older data from previous versions. By the way, I'll just point out, DGN format did not change between any older version of the V8 products and Connect Edition. So that is not an issue and never was an issue. But there's conversion tools for making it easier, for example, to set up the user experience. We have a theme that will make Connect Edition look like V8i, for example. So your user training, you can short circuit that, get to Connect way easier. One other transition aid we've made is to make it easier to auto-convert the workspaces from the previous version to work sets in Connect Edition. So you can, for example, go project by project to the Connect Edition, use the transition tools to convert a project from V8i, for example, to Connect Edition, and that should be as easy and painless as we can make it. And the same user may have V8i plus Connect Edition installed on the same computer and use them depending on which project they work on. So the transition cost to get to Connect Edition has decreased substantially. Many people didn't transition early on to the Connect Edition because that transition was harder than previous versions. But if you evaluated that cost and determined it was too high, please look at the most recent version and come talk to us because we really do want to get you onto the Connect Edition quickly. The last thing I'll point out is the cost of not transitioning, the risk of not transitioning. Now, the software that you're using, if it's previous to the Connect Edition, is a 32-bit version of MicroStation. In 2019, it's really not even a debate about whether you should be running 32-bit or 64-bit versions of your programs, any program you're using. 32-bit is basically obsolete technology. You can't buy a 32-bit operating system, or you'd really have to try to get a 32-bit operating system. And the programs that you're running are now, say, 10 years old. Well, you might have thought, well, software is what it is. When it's created, it works a certain way, and you can use it that way forever. Well, that would be true if two things didn't happen. One, hardware changes, hardware gets obsolete and you have to replace it. The other important factor is out from under the software you're running, the operating system changes. And it's really, any IT department would tell you it's just foolhardy to run old versions of the operating system. Why? Because the threat model in 2019 is substantially different. So you must upgrade your operating system. As that happens, you're running a version of a program that is, sort of run in compatibility mode, backwards compatibility mode. And over time, it becomes more and more difficult for the operating system to maintain the backwards compatibility. So it's really not an option to never upgrade. The other thing I'll tell you is, from Bentley Systems' perspective, if you're using very old software, it's very difficult for us to have our own people who understand the way the program worked 10 years ago. It's very expensive for us to test problems if you report them. And it's sometimes almost impossible for us to create solutions to bugs. So it behooves us to keep you current with our software, because it's way more difficult for us to help you when you're using something that's very old. One other factor about the Connect Edition is Bentley Systems is innovating all the time for new concepts that the Connect Edition will incorporate that we won't be able to do in older versions. So if you want to stay on the leading edge of technology and technology direction and business directions, you'll only get those benefits when you're running on the most recent version of MicroStation. So I want to end by thanking you for your support. If you're using an old version of MicroStation, it's because you've been with us for a long time. Bentley certainly appreciates the loyalty that our user base has over the years. I personally speak to many people who relate stories about the early days of MicroStation. So I know that if you're using an old version of MicroStation, it's because you're an old friend. Thank you for that. If you'd like help and you'd like someone to come and help you, there are hundreds of people who work for Bentley Systems who would love to help you. So please let us know. Contact somebody at Bentley Systems and we'll get back to you.